What's up, YouTube? I didn't think I was going to do this tonight, but I have plenty of time on my hands and I can't sleep. As of right now, I'm still waiting for Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone to download. I started it, no kidding, over 24 hours ago, and my internet is so painfully slow here that it's taken well over a day, and it's probably going to take another 6 hours. So after this video, I'm probably going to wrap it up and try to get some sleep, but I've got nothing better to do right now and I'm bored, so I figured I'd go ahead and shoot this video and let you guys know what I think of the Jetson Bolt, what I've done to it, and what I think they could do better. And I'm going to show you guys the helmet that I had during my motorcycle accident last year, show you where the damage was, and then I'm going to show you the helmet that I wear with my Bolt. Here is the bike. So I love this thing. I cannot brag about how much fun this thing is enough. My wife and I, at least once or twice a week, we take these around town. We'll take them up to the corner store, or we'll just take our dog for a little run. But these things are a blast, man. And I've seen a lot of really negative reviews on Bolt's Facebook page, and it's really unfortunate because, you know, these things are just so much fun, and I haven't had any issues with mine. And it seems like Jetson does a really good job of responding to people who have had issues with theirs. There are a lot of complaints that they break, and then it takes Jetson forever whenever they're trying to go through the process of getting either a refund or a warranty done on it. And it's just super sad to see that so many people are unhappy with these when I'm just absolutely in love with mine. So we'll go over a couple things that I like about it, a couple things that I don't like about it, and basically just what my overall thoughts are. On the ground in front of me is the old bike rack that I had on it, and that's actually the basket on the back that they sent me. So I saw this basket on their website, and I had sent them an email a while ago asking if they were ever going to get more in, and I never got a message back. And then I commented on their Facebook, and I talked about how awesome their stuff was. And a few days later, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we love you, what you guys have said about our products, and we're hoping to send you something as a gift for the holidays so you can test it out." But here it is. Basically, it's a pretty deep basket that attaches here, and then down here there's a bolt that you have to remove that actually holds on this little rear fender, which these fenders I'm going to talk a little bit about. They do a good job of, you know, not slinging mud around or anything, but they feel kind of cheap. But anyway, back to the basket. You know, it's really like very, very heavy duty. The bars on it are super thick. It's got like a powder coat to it that seems very sturdy. It just feels overall like really good quality, almost better than some of the things that come on the bike itself. Like, you know, these here, it just doesn't feel flimsy or cheap like some of the parts on the bike do. The seats on these things are not very comfortable at all. So my wife and I decided to go to Walmart and look around and see if they had seats to replace it. We couldn't find anything that would fit on the seat itself. So we wound up, because the way that this is it's just so narrow compared to like a normal bicycle seat. But anyway, we found these covers that are super soft and they're firm to an extent, but they do a good job of shaping, and they're memory foam, and they really help out take a little bit of the uncomfortable ride out of this thing. I love this thing to death, and it's the first thing that I'd recommend if you wind up getting one of the Jetson Bolts. So one of the things that I've noticed about this that is a little bit of a concern, it's not a huge issue, it's just an annoyance at times, right? So on this, you can see that the Jetson Bolt was set up to have front brakes. I mean, everything down to the hub has the spot for you to mount the disc brake on there, which these disc brakes are super nice. They don't feel, they don't have like a whole lot of give to them. They don't feel like spongy or anything. They work really well, but the problem is they work so well that it causes the rear tire to lock up. And if you watched my last video, you know that I don't have a whole lot of good experiences with my rear tires locking up. So I don't know why they didn't put the front brake on the front. There it is, front brake on the front. That makes sense. Oh, hi, Miller. But it just doesn't make sense to me why they would take it off, unless it were like a monetary thing where they're trying to save costs where they could. Because this is a super affordable e-bike. Like the most affordable one that I've seen so far for what you're getting. And it does it. I mean, it's not the fastest one on the market, but I mean, obviously you're only paying $300. I think I've topped out at like 16, 17 miles per hour. And you can tell, it doesn't tell you how fast you're going on the bike itself. Like the little cluster up here is pretty basic. It's got a cheap little bell. It's got, here, I'll show you real quick. It's actually got a really solid headlight and also a tail light that is always lit. There's this basket, actually, I didn't notice that, but it covers up pretty good. But anyway, the brake light actually blinks whenever you engage the brakes, which I thought was super neat. It's got a readout for the battery up here, but it's not super accurate, right? So if you're riding this thing, you're riding it pretty hard, the bars will drop automatically. So it doesn't tell you quite how much battery you have at the moment if you're on it, but if you're just cruising, it'll go back up to where the battery averages out. Let's talk about so this thing, it does a really good job of folding down. And I've actually, whenever I took it to Kansas City, we folded it down so that it wouldn't be in the way too much, because I just threw both of these. I was able to fit both of these in the back seat of my Honda Civic. So that just goes to show like how portable they are. But right here, there is a lever that you have to pry down. See if I can do this without making the camera too shaky. Come on. There it goes. Okay, so you just pry it back. It's got a really sturdy construction right here for the handlebars, so you don't really worry too much about it coming undone. And then it folds down even further than that, but the seat right now is in the way. And then I believe your handlebars also fold down. I haven't messed with those too much. But anyway, this folds down and there it goes. You can get it pretty compact. Watch your fingers though, because I just smashed my hand in there. And then you just rotate it back up, lock it into place. And then there's this neat little band here. Come on, focus. There we go. I snapped like I wanted it to focus if it were an animal or something. All right, so that's with it locked into place. And it comes in super handy. This handle it's in a really good spot, right? It's super balanced for the most part, especially when the handlebar's folded down. But it's just super convenient and a lot of fun to just ride around town on. I put a bike lock around the seat on mine. I don't really even need it out in this town, but I just leave it on there just in case whenever we're going to Kansas City or something, I don't forget it. And then another neat little thing that I did, my wife did it too for hers, but we found these little LED strips that have basically elastic bands that clip it into place. And then you can just cycle through different modes and it gets progressively faster and then it's off. And it just increases visibility, it makes you, more noticeable. My wife, she found pink for hers. Then I grabbed the blue. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Another neat little feature that it actually has a cruise control built in. Come on, focus. There we go. It's not wanting to focus. Anyway, that button right there is actually the cruise control. And you can control that from the app, which the app is super intuitive. It's really easy to use. And on the app, you can actually control the settings of the Bolt, like how fast, the top speed and everything. So if you wanted to get this for like a younger child, you absolutely could. You know, I don't see any issue with it, especially if you can dial down the speed. It's easily manageable. I just really wish that they would put a front brake on here so that, you know, you're not skidding everywhere and then, you know, wearing out your rear tires so much. I mean, I know it would be easy to do. It's basically the same parts as the rear brake, just a shorter brake cable. So, I mean, if there's a recommendation that I could tell, you know, Jetson, it'd be to put that back on there, because there's really not a good reason to not have it on there. Unless for some reason it's like binding up in the steering or something, but I don't see that happening. I don't. I mean, it even has on the forks, you know, a spot to route the cable. So I don't know why they wouldn't do that. And then the more I look at these little e-bikes, the more awkward the front looks without having that cowl forward. And I know these are little nitpicky things, but you know, they asked me to do an in-depth review and let them know what I really think. But I mean, it would just be as easy to just take one of these, which is just held on by this bolt, and then run it on the other side. And then it would make it look, you know, it would make it look a little more even and not so awkward. Because it really does. I mean, the more you look at it without even if you just took off that back piece, it just looks awkward just having it on the back. But again, those are little gripes and complaints. Overall, this thing's a blast. It's well fast enough to, you know, get you around town at a decent rate. I mean, we were getting through Kansas City traffic more quickly than the cars were, actually. And, you know, I spent way less time riding this thing around once we found like a spot outside of the city limits, like more towards the outskirts of town, to just hop on this and then, you know, drive right where we wanted to go. At one point, I even had a little phone mount up here right on this side of the handlebar. But the phone mount was super loose, and it was bouncing all over the place, and my phone just wouldn't stay stable. So I wound up taking it off. I want to find a different one. If you guys can think of any that you can recommend, I know RAM mounts, but those things are super expensive, and they're like motorcycle mounts, so there's no need to put it on something like this. But I just haven't found any decent quality ones in my area that I wanted to use. And I don't feel like spending the money online to get something that I don't like and just have to go through the process of returning it. But yeah, so back to the baskets, right? Oh, hi buddy. You gonna come hang out with me? So the basket. This is what I had on prior to, which is a neat little rack. It's my initial thought was like, if we were to go camping or something, we can throw this in the back of our Jeep and take it with us. Cooper, you are all up in my shop, buddy. All right, there you go. But anyway, I was thinking like maybe we could throw like firewood on the back and then strap it down, which I'm probably going to take this and put it on here somehow on the basket itself. Just because that's a super nice elastic band. But the problem that I had with this, right, is it's got these cheap little Allen screws here. And as I'm riding, they actually work themselves loose. And this whole thing will just slide back. And without there being a stop on the end, it could slide right off. So after dealing with that for a little while and it bouncing around, I checked out their website to see if they had anything. And I mean, they had like the perfect little basket that goes right on the back. And so I took this off. I could actually run this on top of that basket if I wanted to. For whatever reason, but I mean, it just seems excessive. Let's see. And there were a couple other things that I wanted to point out. I just cannot, for the life of me, remember. One of the things that I noticed I guess in their quality control, you know, there are some minor differences between like the balancing and the tires. So whenever I can lift up the rear end and, you know, roll on the throttle and get this tire spinning, and I can feel a wobble in it. and I noticed that it's actually taking away from the top speed just a touch, because anytime I ride my wife's, hers doesn't have that problem, and I feel like I can go a little bit faster on it. Now, one of the things that out of the box that I noticed as well is that these things, the tires were super low, and I didn't realize that until I had opened up the manual and looked into it, and after digging around in the manual, I found out what the tire pressures for these are. I got them up to the right tire pressure, and at first they felt a little sluggish, but that's only because the tires were low. So if you do decide to buy one of these, make sure that you fill the tires up. I believe it's supposed to be 60 PSI, but I'm not 100% sure. It's been a little bit since I checked, so I should probably check them myself again since the weather's been changing. What was the other thing that I wanted to talk about? I should really plan these videos out more ahead of time. While I think about it, I will show you guys my motorcycle helmet that I told you I was going to show you in the last video. It's been sitting in my garage, so it's super dusty. But it's the Bell Qualifier DLX. It's a super affordable helmet, and it's a pretty decent quality product. There are a couple things that people complain about that I complain about also, and it's like these latches here are cheap, and it just doesn't have as much airflow as you'd want it to. But I will say that this helmet did its job. So initially I impacted on the right side, which is wrong from my last video. Maybe not. No, it was the left side. So I impacted here initially and then rolled all, Cooper, back up. Oh, and my shot's all blurry again. All right, here we go. Sorry, guys. But I initially impacted there, and then I rolled all the way around, all the way to the front side of my face, all the way to the, like, dead center. Like, that would have been my face on the ground. You could have probably peeled my face off the ground if I had a half helmet on. And I love the idea of half helmets. I wished, that I could find one that wasn't going to risk my life and limb, but you can actually see in the plastic here, or the styrofoam, excuse me, where the crack was. And you can't really tell in the video, but this was bowed out initially. And that's, if it hadn't been for this helmet, that's a low spot. So that probably would have been the backside of my head. But yeah, this helmet, Bell Qualifier DLX. It's in the matte black. It's got the subdued Bell decal, which I really liked. One of the neat things about it is it's set up to run the old Senna comm system, which is kind of nice, but because it's outdated, it doesn't work as well as I'd like it to. But they give you a cover to put over this, and then when you are using your comm system, you just pop it into place, and then it's got cutouts that you can route your cables and everything through. The helmet up top is channeled really well, and it'll get cool in the top of the helmet, but I feel like their vents, the closures to them are a little cheap. And that's my biggest complaint with those. But that's the helmet. It's just the 888. I really like the subdued black, if you can't tell, between this and that. But anyway, this is just a cheap helmet that I got on Amazon. Actually, my wife bought that for me for my birthday, but you can find them on Amazon. I believe you can find the Jetson Bolt on Amazon too. If not, you can go directly to their website and get it there. But yeah, I would highly, highly recommend these if you're looking for, just something like a new toy or, a moderately priced e-bike just to get you around on, even if you're just commuting. Oh, that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So the range on these things, from what I've noticed, it's pretty accurate with what Jetson advertises. Typically they advertise, I think, 8 miles at top speed, which is about accurate. There was actually a point where my wife and I were really riding hard on these things. We were riding all around town. We were really testing them out, right? And we took them about every bit of 8 miles, and it got so low that anytime I'd roll on the throttle, it would just go to, it would display a little battery here and just go into like basically conservation mode. It wouldn't do anything. So because my wife weighs so much less than me, we swapped, and I got on hers, and it actually carried her fine, and her bike took me, the rest of the way home. And I roughly weigh about 175 pounds. My wife weighs roughly 105 to 110. And I mean, she can easily get another 2 or 3 miles out of these things versus what I get. But yeah, I can't really think of anything else that I would gripe about on these things. I mean, they're just so far from what I've witnessed, they're super reliable. They're a lot of fun. They'll get you around for a decent price. And if you contact Jetson through their Facebook, you will get a lot quicker feedback than you would if you went to their website or to their email. And that's just what I've noticed. I mean, they're sending me same-day responses in my messages, and they're getting back to people who have complaints on the comments on Facebook immediately. Like, it seems like within a couple hours, if someone has a complaint or gripe on Facebook, boom, they're there saying, hey, we're sorry. Like, we'd love to make it up to you. And they're just super nice. And yeah, I feel like maybe there was a problem with quality control in the past, and they have either remedied that and they're trying to build stronger relationships with their community again, or they just hired someone new completely to handle all that stuff, because I really haven't had any major issues with these. And anytime I have questions or anything, like, I get on their Facebook and boom, I have an answer. But yeah, if you guys get the chance to pick these up, I don't know if they're going to be selling them. I think we picked them up at Costco. I keep saying Sam's Club, but we had both memberships at once and then canceled one for the other. But I think they were selling them at Costco originally. And at Costco, they were listed for $300. The last time I looked at Jetson's website, they were listed for $300, and their original price was $400 with $100 off their original price. So they're on sale, but they're not really on sale because they were selling them cheaper at Costco. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for this thing. I mean, if something happened to this one, I would immediately buy another one and replace it, because it's just been so much fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave me a like. And yeah, if you guys want to see more, just give me a holler. I plan on doing the motorcycle reveal later on. I know I talked about that, but as soon as I hear back from, the guy I bought the bike from, I will give you guys an update and say, hey, I've got the title, and it's only going to be a matter of time before you get to see it. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, and we'll see you in the next video.